Okay, so the lesson that we're going to discuss for this meeting is about the ethical standards in writing the review of late literature. So last time I recorded a video, a discussion about the related literature. So this time I'm going to discuss what's the ethical standards, what are the methods that you need to use in order to avoid intellectual dishonesty in writing your research. Okay, the lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students can identify research ethics with proper citation matters, describe plagiarism in its various forms, and illustrate citation styles such as APA, MLA in Chicago or Caribbean. So I know that you're already familiar with this. I think this is just a refresher or just to remind you what are the methods you're going to take when it comes to properly writing your paper. Okay. Research ethics. Why proper citation matters. Right. So all researchers must always observe proper research conduct and ethics, especially when citing and crediting the source of literature used in their study. Right. So one of the most serious cases when it comes to writing your research is when you commit plagiarism. It's a big no-no in the academe or in the professional world, since the works of the other authors or experts are their intellectual property. Thus, it's very important that they need to be credited or acknowledged about the work that they have done. The primary function of citations and references is to help readers in locating a publication. Citations allow readers to distinguish your original work from the work and ideas of others. So, one of the most important um, things that you need to consider in writing a proper citation and reference is to help the readers in order to see or find the references or sources that you used in your paper. You can find that at the last part of your paper, which is the references section. Citations allow readers to distinguish your original work from the work and ideas of others. So it will give the ideas to the readers what is your original work and what are the works from the other authors that you have lifted or used for your research. Researchers must properly acknowledge the ideas and work of cited authors through proper citation. So this is the proper way in terms of acknowledging or crediting the authors that you have cited, which is the proper citation. Citation and references may be seen in the main text, the footnotes, and notes, and in the bibliography or references section of most research. All right, so depending on the format that we're going to use, either APA, MLA, or Chicago or Caribbean. So they have different formats. You can see the reference of citations in different contents of your research. Okay, plagiarism and its various forms. Okay, plagiarism is an act that is separate from the intent of the person who commits it, which means that, say, plagiarism is different or it's separate from your intention. Meaning, even if it's not your intention or it's not your purpose to copy the work of the others without citing or acknowledging them, it's still plagiarism, whether it is intentional or not intentional. Plagiarism is one of the most common forms of intellectual dishonesty in research, since the works of the authors are their intellectual property, thus they should be credited, they should be acknowledged for their work, for their contribution in a field or expertise. You as a researcher, when you commit plagiarism, which means that you are not honest with your work. Meaning you are making something as your own, even if it's not yours.
Only.
Sino yan? Okay. Guys, please turn off your microphone.
Oy, nako.
All right, let's continue. In the age of information, students and researchers alike routinely copy and paste materials from online sources and use them without proper attribution or citation. So all of us are vulnerable in this kind of action. Since the advent of technology, we have the internet, the information are what do you call that? Are accessible. So we are information consumers, and information nowadays are very accessible because of the presence of internet and other forms of technology. Thus, it's easy for us to commit such act. That's why we need to be careful from doing things like this when it comes to making a project in the world of academia or even in the professional world. Okay. Say plagiarism, it is the act of knowingly using another's work and passing it off as your own, according to Hart 1998, which means that you are using another work of another author and making it as your own. It's like you lifted a source or information from your source material and you make it as your own in your own research. Appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit, according to Israel and Hay 2006. Which means that even if it's even if we call that even if you know yourself, you are aware that you use another person's ideas, another person's works, but without properly crediting them, acknowledging them, even if it is intentional or you just forgot to acknowledge them, it's still plagiarism. Okay, these are the four different forms of plagiarism. Uh, these are the most commonly committed act of plagiarism. We have cut and paste plagiarism, misattribution, mosaic, and self-plagiarism. First is we have copy and paste plagiarism. Taking phrases, sentences, or paragraphs from a source. Could be from book, article, website, etc. Submitting another's work as your own without citing the source, not using quotations and citing your source. Say copy and paste plagiarism, you copy the work of author in verbatim or word per word. You just copy and paste it in your own work. And without citing or without using quotation marks, without citation or anything that can indicate that that's a work of another author. So this is an example of copy and paste. So in the correct version, for example, the future will not see any increase in the catches of wild fish. The reality is that 1/3 of all ocean fish stocks have already collapsed. So in the plagiarized version, the same, almost the same. So this was copied word for word, text from the original source material. No credit was given to the author of the text and quotation marks were not used. Also, the student did not provide the full in-text citation and reference, which means that in copy and paste plagiarism, you copy the original work word by word or in verbatim. And you did not provide any quotation mark to indicate that it is directly quoted from another work, from another author's work, and did not provide in-text citation or reference. So that's copy and paste. We have mosaic plagiarism or patchwork plagiarism. Patchwork plagiarism, also known as mosaic plagiarism or incremental plagiarism, is similar to paraphrasing. It is when you copy and paste together pieces of different text to create a new text. This includes rewording pieces of source material while keeping the structure of the original text. It's not bad when you paraphrase the works of another person. It's not bad, actually, because in writing related literature, you need to employ paraphrasing and summarizing skills in order to express what you have understand from the sources that you have lifted or used in your paper. But the thing is, in patchwork plagiarism, the author did not cited or acknowledge, did not cite or acknowledge the original author of those statements that he or she used in his own paper. Okay, in mosaic plagiarism, you lifted different sources and combined it in just one paragraph. But then you did not cite or you did not acknowledge the authors of that original work. In order to, what do you call that? In order to avoid plagiarism, mosaic plagiarism, you need to do, what do you call that? Meta-analysis. Like in one paragraph, there are multiple sources and multiple citations so that you can avoid this kind of plagiarism, itong mosaic. Okay lang yan. It's really fine if we're going to combine different sources in just one paragraph or in just one sentence. But the thing is, you need to properly credit the authors of the statements that you use in one paragraph or one statement. Next is misattribution plagiarism. It involves attributing an excerpt, quote, or an idea to the wrong author or the incorrect source or worse, a non-existent source. Okay, this misattribution may be accidental or intentional. Say misattribution, either you use different author when you cite the statement that you use for your own paper, or you use different statement in order to you use different statement as if it is, they call that as if it is the work of this specific author. It could be accidental, whether you forgot or um, it's a misdocumentation in the process of conducting a research, or it is intentional. It is your intention to misattribute the sources. Meaning, for example, when you use a specific statement from another author, then you did not properly credit the real author of that statement. You use another person or author. Ganun siya, ang misattribution. Or idea from another author, tapos you treat it as you use another work of the author, and then you think that it is the work of another author. Meaning, ano ba, lahi ang iyang statement, ang saka statement, you treat it as that's the real statement of one author. We also have self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism is commonly described as recycling or reusing one's own specific words from previously published texts. While it doesn't cross the line of truth, theft of others' ideas, it nonetheless can create issues in the scholarly publishing world. Self-plagiarism, when you publish previous work and then you conducted another research and then you use your previous work as if it's new. You treated your previous work as a brand new ba. It could create confusion in the publishing world, world, if when, for example, the readers or the experts of the field, when they already read your previous work, then it will confuse them. It will question your credibility as a researcher or as an author, kasi you already used that specific work, yours. So in plagiarism, we have cut and paste plagiarism, misattribution, mosaic, and self-plagiarism. Say cut and paste, you copy the work of another author word by word or in verbatim without properly cited or accredited the original authors. Misattribution, you forgot to credit the real author or provide the real statement of the author. In mosaic, you combine different statements or works from various authors and make it as your own. Self-plagiarism, you plagiarize your own work, meaning your previous work, you use it for another work and appear it as a brand new work of yours. And we have citation styles. Citation is a way of giving credit to individuals for their creative and intellectual works that you utilize to support your research. It can also be used to locate particular sources and combat plagiarism. So this is the method that you need to use in order to avoid plagiarism. So you need to provide, proper citation in your paper. Typically, a citation can include the author's name, the date, location of the publishing company, journal title, or DOI, or digital object identifier. So it's easy to write a citation because you can encode it in the Word document na, or you can use the Google Scholar, yung ano nila. I'm going to show you later. A citation style dictates the information necessary for a citation and how the information is ordered, as well as punctuation and other formatting. So the citation style there are prescribed formats that you need to follow. The information should be organized, should be in order, depending on the type of format that you need to use. Usually, in our case, we're using APA. Okay, so the three most commonly used citation styles or format: APA or American Psychological Association, MLA, Modern Language Association, and Chicago or Caribbean style. So for APA, commonly used in education, psychology, and sciences. For MLA, in humanities. For Chicago or Caribbean, usually used in business, history, and fine arts. What is APA style? It is originated in 1929 when a group of psychologists, anthropologists, and business managers convened and sought to establish a simple yet procedures or style rules that would codify the many components of scientific writing to increase the ease of reading comprehension. So basically, the purpose why these personalities created APA style is for the readers to easily locate the information or know the basic information, the background of the author and the works. Where did the author lifted the source? The APA style calls for three kinds of information to be included in in-text citation. The author's last name and the works or date of publication must always appear. For example, ito, ting in-text. Halimbawa, Paman 2019 and it's enclosed in parentheses. Ito naman, direct quote, meaning you need to use quotation marks if you directly quote or you copy word by word or in verbatim. In APA, it's not necessary anymore to include the page. If you lifted that from a book or article, it's not necessary anymore. That's the latest version of APA. Another one, MLA or Modern Language Association. This style for documentation is widely used in the humanities, especially in writing on language and literature. Features brief parenthetical citations in the text keyed to an alphabetical list of words cited that appears at the end of the work. Ito naman, we have the Chicago style. Documentation style that has been published by the Chicago University Press since 1906. It incorporates rules of grammar and punctuation common in American English. Typically, Chicago style presents two basic documentation systems: notes and bibliography, and author date. Choosing between the two often depends on subject matter and the nature of sources cited, as each system is favored by different groups of scholars. I think I forgot if yung Chicago style ba yun or MLA yung may footnotes. If you try to read Bible, I think ESV yata yan, may footnotes yan sila. And or other research papers or research articles, may footnotes sila sa baba. It's either Chicago or MLA, I forgot. And then, I'm going to show you, kabalo naman yata mo, pero I will discuss na lang. And how to locate related literature and use the proper citation sa Google Scholar. Wait lang. Okay, for example, personality traits and game design preferences. Ito. Okay, so you need sure sa Google Scholar, uh, this is what I've learned when we conducted or when we attended a seminar for research workshop. Ito, you need to see itong cited by, make sure siya na cited by 50 above so that it will be considered as um, credible or legitimate. Ito, dapat 50 above. So, ito, it's because it's 60, okay, we can consider this one. Itong may quotation mark, ito, click nyo yan, tsaka nandito na. Copy-paste nyo lang. Let's open a Word document. Paste nyo lang siya. Wait lang. Dapat naka-indent ito. Dapat naka-indent niya siya. Second to the last line. Naka-indent. So, yan na. In the new version or updated version of APA, hindi na kailangan yung URL. Like, for example, dito sa Word kasi, dito, references. Okay, for example, if you kung sa internet nyo nakuha yung ano nyo, yung source nyo, if you lifted it from the internet, you need to provide a URL. Sige, dito. Your access, month access, date access, at saka ito URL. So in the updated version of APA, itong bago ngayon, it's not necessary anymore. Check nyo lang dito, for example, if it's journal article, click nyo lang. Or if website, ito, click nyo. Or book, dito. Or sa film. Basta, the important thing is you need to fill out the information that has red asterisk. Halimbawa ito, author, title, journal name, the year, the pages. Ayun. So sa Wikipedia, pwede nyo rin gamitin. Actually, even though it is highly questionable, but the thing is, you can use the references in Wikipedia, like for example. For example, ito. Ito na, specific statement. If you want to include this in your paper, it's not, for you to be credible, just do not, lang, Wikipedia. Ito na lang i-click nyo itong Naiwan. Ito. And then, so ito siya. Yung nyo. Ito yung source nyo. Let's try kung meron. Ay. Let's try kung mahanap natin. Ay. Wala na. Ito. So, nato lang siya. When you want to cite a material or a source from Wikipedia, then go directly to the references. Click nyo lang yung kung may number and it will direct you to the specific reference in the reference section of Wikipedia. Okay, do you have questions? Clarifications? Klaro sa atua?
Klaro, sir. Klaro.
Sa mani. Kasi murag witch. Carlowe.
Katawang si Tia, katawang.
So, klaro na taha. By the way, let me remind you to those who not able to submit your assessment activities last week, I'm giving you tomorrow na lang submit. So, kung hindi pa kayo makasubmit sa mga kulang, then wala na. I won't give a chance na.
Sana all, ugma pa.
Nakikulang, hoy.
Ha, ako?
Oh, nakikulang. You check the
Sir, ako sir, nung activity to, lesson 2 sir, no?
Oh, basta starting na karon na week, you don't need to answer the assessment activities in the modules anymore. But the thing is, you need to, the leader of your group must submit report to me. What's the progress mo sa inyong research?
Sir,
Oh,
ang kita makita tong mga naikulang?
i-check na lang ang katong photos, nag-post man kog screenshot
Sa asa?
sa GC. I-post na lang po na ako to sa sa Schoology nato.
Karon?
Oo, paguman nato dire. I-check na ko ha sa to.
Sir, ingon daw, sir.
Wait lang. Ay, kompleto day ka, Noel.
Siya na lang may kulang.
Si Japheth, si Prince, si ano naman si Tiffany, yung friend.
Kapit-kapit mahugay.
Leslie, ug haya.
Nag-TikTok po sir.
Wala nagparamdam. Si Charity.
Kita ano,
po.
sir?
Na si Ian. Ian? Are you there? Or na si Ian. Ian, hindi ka pa nakasubmit ng
Nagyawa nga
activity.
yun. Colored, wag buhok.
Bawal pala.
May bronze.
Sino pa? Si Lexi. Uy, pabadlong maning mga yums. So, na yums, dire.
Haya, recorded ba ni?
Iya.
Lexi, kulang ng tatlo.
Colored.
O Angelo, kulang ka rin ng tatlo. At saka si Shani, kulang ng tatlo. Yan lang.
Wala.
Ano pa yung mga concerns ninyo? Ay, buhok din na ni mo, hay. Abi na kung kanang kanang tawag uy.
Kami maglanok.
Nag-shoal. Abi na kung nag-shoal ka.
Bawal.
Biglaan na.
Wala na may concern?
Wala na.
Wala na. I-end na ako
Sir, sa
ha.
Friday to
Tayo
no?
sa likod ng hayaw ah.
Unsa na ay nagstorya, wait. Unsa?
Sa Friday to ano sir no atong to title.
Not necessary really title, topic lang or the possible what do you call that? Possible na topics na inyong i-deal.
Sige sir, sige.
Inyong ano. So, ako sa inyo ano, mag-ano na lang mo para mapadali inyong life, mag-descriptive na lang mo. Or okay naman po mag-correlational mo. Bahala mo sa inyo. Para challenge po.
Sir, mga to may diretso. Mga tagkanto.
Kanta, kanton.
Hanggang sa pangutanan ninyo, wala na.
Wala na.
Leaders ha, please follow up your your group members at saka yung ano ninyo, yung research ninyo. Kailangan may na kayo, may progress na kayo ngayon na week. Condense ba kayo to ang schedule? Okay, I think that's it. That concludes our virtual meeting for this day. Thank you very much for joining the conference and see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.